Alright everybody, welcome back. So I figure it's time to go ahead and cover one of the most popular premiums for a very long time, and that is the AV-8. This thing has been a high seller ever since New Power, and especially nowadays because it has become the plane of choice for the bot accounts. For those of y'all who have seen those flying around, there's quite a few bot AV-8s now. But in any case, why is it that this thing is so loved? Why is it that so many people are buying it? Well, in my opinion, it's because it's the most consistent grinder for the US tree. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it is very easy to perform well in it. Just to recap, we currently have 5 high-tier US, I'd say rank 6 or 7 premium, or high ones. So first of all, we have the AV-8 at 9.7. Then we also have the A10 early at 10.0, and we have the F5C at 10.3. We also have the A6 at 10.0 as a rank 7, and the F4S at 11.3 as a rank 7 premium. So out of all of these, at least in my opinion, the Harrier is going to be the easiest plane to consistently get results with. Now let me explain. Flight performance wise, the Harrier is definitely not the best of these. I would definitely take it over someone like the A6. The A6 is super clunky. Same thing for the A10 as well. The A10 has better turning capability than the Harrier. The problem is it's very slow, and these days we are getting a lot of these bigger maps, right? And the A10 absolutely suffers on them. It can't make it across the map in time to effectively get kills most of the time, whether that be ground targets or air targets or, destroying bases, or whatever else you want to do. Most of the time you're getting intercepted before you can actually make it to the base, which is a problem. The Harrier is much quicker than the A10, and especially its acceleration. It has absolutely insane acceleration off the runway. It is always the first thing off the runway. You've probably seen it yourself. That's because it has to be able to take off vertically, so it has a very high thrust-to-weight ratio at low speeds. So already right off the bat, we've ruled out the A6 and the A10. Now, the F5C is a much better plane than the AV-8, no doubt about it. It is a better plane, it is a better premium. If you are a good player, I would take the F5C any day over the AV-8. But for your average player, the F5C is going to be much more difficult to perform in because it doesn't have these two AIM-9Gs, which you can see these missiles are absolutely cracked at this BR. An AIM-9E on an F5C would not have hit that AJ-37 right there. The 9G has just such excellent range and such incredible turning capability in comparison to the AIM-9E. It's not even a competition. And just having two very good missiles right off the bat makes this thing much easier to play with than someone like the F5, for example. You do also get the ability to carry bombs, and I'll be talking about that a little bit later, but for most people, just that ability to just go ahead and get 2 easy kills on 2 flareless planes, just like I'm doing right here against this Su-7, already makes this thing a more consistent grinder for your average Joe. If you are a good player, I would go F5C any day of the week. Only thing you got to keep in mind is that it does have a less favorable matchmaker, at least from my experience, than the Harrier. The Harrier most of the time is going to be sitting in that 9.3, 10.3 matchmaker. I've been having a lot of up tiers in the F5C personally. I've heard other people say otherwise. Personally, I have had a ton of 11.3 games and I'm playing 10.3 as of late, which the F5C doesn't really handle that well. In any case, it leaves us with the F4S, which is technically the best plane out of all the ones I've mentioned. The problem is it's in top tier every single game. And the F4S, when it's fighting stuff like, the F-16, the MiG-29, it just has no chance whatsoever. So the combination of better flight performance than the A6 and the A10, better missiles than the F5C, and a better matchmaker than the F4S is what does it for me. Now, earlier I was saying if you're going to bomb, I'd recommend doing it a specific way. Use CCRP. You can see right here, I'm up at like 4 or 5 kilometers. I'm well away from the base. I went ahead and selected my base, I just held down the bomb button, and I dropped my 2 1,000-pound bombs. Please, for the love of God, do not ditch your AIM-9Gs to take more bombs. I have seen way too many people doing this in the AV-8. Please do not do it, it is not worth it. This thing doesn't even have a good bomb load in the first place. Honestly, I wouldn't even really recommend taking the bombs, because if you bring your bombs, you only get 2 1,000-pound bombs, because you're bringing your flares and you're bringing your 2 AIM-9s. At least you should be bringing your flares and your 2 AIM-9s. But in any case, doing it this way, you get to drop it from very high up, from very far away, and you don't lose any positioning. And this thing has fast enough acceleration that, from my experience at least, taking the bombs doesn't really hinder your performance that much. So, This is one of the few premiums that I wouldn't be like upset about you bombing in, even though I still wouldn't really recommend doing so. Ever since the real shatter changes, and even before, but especially after, Aidens have been absolutely cracked. You're going to be getting a ton of kills with these. You're not going to have any issues whatsoever with damage. I've had very few hits that don't actually either critically damage like they did to that SC-25 right there, or just absolutely smoke the plane I shoot at in a single hit. You get 260 rounds of ammo with this thing, and you'll be able to stretch that no problem with just a little bit of trigger discipline once you get used to the rounds. I don't know if you saw earlier, but I actually had a game where I got 5 kills with no missiles, and I still had over 100 rounds of 30 mil left. You can see right there, I hit that A-32 once in the wing, and he died. There is one thing you'll probably have to get used to, and that's the fact that the guns are mounted very low underneath the aircraft. But once you get used to that, the gun positioning is better than like the Lightning, for example, at least. So that's that. Just don't go full commit head on like I do right here with this J-35. Additionally, for those tankers that are out there, the AV-8 is actually really good at CAS as well. You can see right here, I have my full load of flares. I also have 4 bombs in there. I like bringing the bombs more than the Zunis. I have better luck with them. You can bring 2 500s and 2 1000s, and they actually drop individually, which is really nice. Since you get CCIP, it's really good for a CAS of this BR. It is a little bit worse in the AV-8C, at least. You are able to bring a bigger bomb load than that because it has internally mounted flares instead of having to bring this little flare pod, but it's still very good for CAS, and if you're looking for something to back up your XM1, you don't mind slightly up-tiering it from 9.3 to 9.7, then by all means, I would highly recommend doing so. Additionally, since this is a VTOL aircraft, you are able to capture points just like in like a helicopter. It's not very common that you get the chance to do it. I've only gotten to do it like maybe 4 or 5 times in my entire time at War Thunder, because most of the time if you get that slow, you're just gonna get shot. But just having that capability is always better than not having it, and you never really know when you might, make or break a game just by being able to land and capture a point in a plane. By the way, Gaijin, if anyone sees this, please bring back the ability for normal aircraft to land and capture tank points. I don't know why that was removed. That was a very stupid change, in my opinion at least. Being able to capture a point in a typical plane, not just a VTOL aircraft, was a feature. I really liked it. Please bring it back. In any case though, as this is the VTOL aircraft, it does also have one other advantage. So you know the helipads, right, which are much closer than your normal airfield. I believe there's one like roughly 3 or so kilometers away from the battlefield. Yeah, you can actually land and repair at those. I wouldn't recommend using the special hover mode. I would just stick yourself into your thrust vectoring and then go ahead and slow yourself down manually. The ability to land and repair and rearm at these helipads is really a huge advantage. It saves you a lot of time. You don't have to fly, 10, 15 kilometers back to the airfield. There's one other thing I wanted to show y'all, and that is the spawn point cost. But for those of y'all who didn't know, strike fighters and normal fighters have separated spawn point costs. You can see my AV-8 is already up to 1,000 spawn points, and my F-100 is still at 700. So keep that in mind. Use that to your advantage. Bring more than one type of plane if you're looking to do CAS. In any case, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Catch y'all next time. Peace.